Man, this is it's a story that it hits home.
Yeah.
For both you and I, right?
Yes.
You're from Charleston.
I am.
I have family in Somerville. Charleston's like a second home. So when June 17th, 2015, let me set the scene for you. I was a younger reporter in the Myrtle Beach market, and I got the call and about what happened. I'm like, what? Mm-hmm. So I called my family, I called my brother who's in Somerville, and I'm like, don't go anywhere. This is what happened. And so let me lay out what happened. So this June 17th, will mark 10 years since the Charleston church shooting, which claimed the lives of 9 people that attended a Bible study at Emanuel AME Church, also known as Mother Emanuel. Among those victims, Cynthia Graham Hurd. She was a beloved librarian, community leader there. And I remember just being in shock. I remember going there eventually to downtown Charleston to cover the story, the funeral, those events that followed after. And it didn't just grip the Charleston community, but it gripped the nation.
Yeah.
And I want to bring on our special guest, Charlotte City Councilman Malcolm Graham, grandfather.
For sure.
For sure. He has the grandkids in. As we approach the anniversary, we're less than 3 weeks away from that anniversary, 10 years?
Yeah.
What comes to mind? What are the feelings?
I miss my sister, right? 10 years has gone since we lost her at the Emanuel AME Church shooting, and each and every day I miss her even more. She was personable, sharp, candid, a community leader in Charleston. She didn't run for public office, but she chaired the Housing Authority Board of Directors, cared about affordable housing gentrification, 31-year employee of the Charleston County Library System.
Wow.
Worked at night for 16 years at the College of Charleston as their night librarian. And role model, big sister, and political advisor, just my rock. My mother died when I was 21, so Cynthia not only served as a big sister, but also as a mother figure. And so 10 years passed, I miss her even more, and we celebrate her life. We don't dwell on how she died. We know how she died. We celebrate who she was and who she loved and things that she cared about. And the library in Charleston is now named after her, the Cynthia Graham Hurd St. Andrews Regional Library. The College of Charleston highest academic scholarship is named after her, the Cynthia Graham Memorial Fund. And the University of South Carolina, where she received her master's degree in library science, has an anonymous donor donated well over $200,000
Wow.
for a master's degree for African Americans who wants to be a librarian in her name. And so Cynthia used to joke with me all the time that I was the most famous person in the family because of my political pursuits, ran for Congress, served in the state Senate, did some other stuff, right? But certainly in her death, she's the most famous person in our family, and we're proud of her.
Oh, man. And I should have led with Malcolm Graham, the brother of Cynthia Graham Hurd. Take me back from the beginning. So from Charleston, what does Charleston mean to you? And what was that like growing up with Cynthia in Charleston?
Yeah, born and raised in Charleston on Benson Street between Hughie and Congress.
Okay.
Went to James Simmons Elementary, the whole high school of Charleston. I came to Charlotte on the tennis scholarship, so I played lots of tennis tournaments in the Charleston area at the Jack Adams Tennis Courts on Congress Street near the Citadel Football Stadium. Cynthia was my big sister by 5 years. I'm number 6 of a family of 6 children to Henrietta and Melvin Graham.
Oh, wow.
Emanuel was a part of the fabric of our life, right? My mom went to Emanuel. My grandmother went to Emanuel. They both sung in the choir. My siblings and relatives all went to Emanuel. My big sister Jackie got married there. I found the Lord there, said Easter speeches there. My father and my mother are buried in the graveyard there. Now Cynthia is as well. And so her death was shocking because not only did it happen in Charleston, but it happened in the place that we knew very, very well.
And that church, if you're not familiar, It's on Calhoun. That's Calhoun Street, right?
Yeah, which is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
110 Calhoun Street, this progressive African American church, black church, Calhoun Street, John C. Calhoun, who was a racist, who was a member of the Klan, who wanted black folks to be dealt with and serve as cattle, right? And so all over Charleston, you got this history everywhere.
You have so many reminders in downtown Charleston, all over Charleston, quite frankly, of the horrors of slavery and racism.
Yeah, for sure.
But that church is like the fabric of that community.
Yes.
I just passed that church. I was in Charleston last month for the Cooper Ridge Bridge Run.
You ran it?
I ran it.
Okay.
I made
Successfully?
it. I did. I did. But I got a chance to pass that church, and every time I'm in that area, I pass that church, I get chills because I just remember. I just go back to that time. 10 years ago.
It's and I wrote a book.
Yeah.
The Way Forward, and we talk about growing up in Charleston and what the church meant to me and my family, and how Charleston is so historic. I mean, it's hard to find a bad meal in Charleston.
Right.
If you love history, history's everywhere. If you love water's everywhere. It's a great city with a interesting past, right?
Yeah.
My mom would call Charleston nice, nasty, right? Nice on the outside, but then when you start peeling away from it based on this history, some unpleasantries with the community. 10 years ago, Charleston past became its present, right? With the killing of Cynthia and 8 others. We don't talk about that 5 other people survived the shooting that were there in the room. Polly Shepard, Felicia Saunders, the wife of Reverend Pinckney, her 2 kids, Felicia Saunders' grandkid. They were all in the room or in an adjoining room that survived the shooting. And, when you talk about Charleston and the history of racism and slavery, et cetera, that night, its past became its present.
That moment in time, you mentioned Senator Pinckney, Reverend Senator Pinckney.
Senator
Pinckney.
Yeah.
Yeah, State Senator Pinckney. I remember covering that funeral, and it's one of those moments that is etched in your mind forever, because everybody was dressed in all black, and it was so hot out there. So many people. That service was a beautiful. It was a long service.
It was a long service.
I think we were waiting for President Obama to get there.
We were.
What do you remember from that day?
It was crazy, right? Reverend Pinckney I knew because he was a state senator in South Carolina. I was a state senator in North Carolina. Obviously, when I would come home, I would go to Emanuel, I would see him, so I knew him as well. Surreal, him being gone, thousands of people there honoring him, the President of the United States there.
Leaders in Congress.
Leaders of Congress, everyone was there, sung this amazing choir that sung the Old Ship of Zion. Remember that song?
I remember,
the president gave such a eulogy and then sung Amazing Grace. And then Cynthia Graham Hurd found that grace. Funny story, I ran for the U.S. Congress. And Cynthia helped me with all my campaigns. And so she said, I want to help you get to Congress because obviously I want you to win. But if you win, I might get a chance to meet Michelle and Barack Obama. Unfortunately, we lost that campaign to Alma Adams. We came in second. So she didn't get the opportunity to meet them in life. But she met them in death because after he sung Amazing Grace, he and Michelle met with me and my family for well over 45 minutes and talked to us about Cynthia and about a wide variety of issues. Obviously, he mentioned her name when he said Cynthia Graham found that grace after he sung Amazing Grace. And so while she didn't get the opportunity to meet him in life, she met him and Michelle in death. I told the president, said, with all due respect, she was more interested in meeting Michelle than you. And he said, well, I get that all the time, right? So you're not offending me. I've heard it before. So it was, and that night was the first night we actually saw Cynthia in death as a family. We went right from the president meeting with us to Fielding's Funeral Home, where we actually were able to be with Cynthia and comfort her in death and see her for the first. It's just, it was a long day.
Oh man, you've done so much work to honor her legacy with the foundation. What was that period? How long was that period from grieving to going out to, okay, I got to do something and to remember my sister?
It was immediately, right?
So it wasn't a long period?
No, it was immediately. It was immediately. I was at home watching the news. Unwritten rule in my household: I'm a political creature. My wife is not. No CNN, no MSNBC, no Fox News in the bedroom, and I'm there breaking the rules. 9 o'clock at night. Breaking news, CNN, shooting at Emanuel AME Church, 9 fair dead. And I called Cynthia. Cynthia was my touch point, Charleston. Something like that happening in Charleston at the church. She would kind of know what was going on. So I called her, and obviously she didn't answer. And about 35 minutes went by. The news reports on all the channels got even worse. And then my niece called me and said, hey, we can't find Aunt Cynthia. We think she went to Bible study. And then right then you get this sickness feeling in your stomach that something bad had occurred. About an hour went by, 2 hours went by, no call from Cynthia. Chief Rodney Monroe, who was the police chief here in Charlotte at the time, I called, said, can you give me any information what's going on down there? And he said, let me see what I can do. And he called me back about an hour later, said, hey, from those who survived the shooting, they identified Cynthia as being at the church at the time of the shooting. Didn't say she was dead or alive, whatever, just making sure that I knew that she was there. And then immediately I just knew, you get this sixth sense. Yeah. And immediately when I saw her that night for the first time after Obama's speech, I was like, I'm going to be your voice. I'm going to be your advocate. At that point in time, people were saying that they forgave, right, the shooter. And I was like, no, we're not going to. It is too early to talk about forgiveness. We got to create what I call some healthy tension. There were some hard questions that needed to be asked, some more information that we needed to know. Did he act alone? Was this, just all those things that we needed to focus on other than the forgiveness of the killer, right? And so immediately I wanted to be her voice. I was a different opinion from those who were saying we forgive. I'm like, no, we got some questions to ask. And so I began to be her advocate, about the naming of the library, which happened like 3 days after she was killed, right at the county council meeting, being her advocate when they were talking about bringing down the Confederate flag, being her advocate at court, being her advocate that although she died with 9 others, she was her own person. She had her own space. She had her own family, right? So making sure that people remembered her. Not the Emanuel 9, I get it, but remembering Cynthia, right? And I continue to be her advocate for things that matter. And you just keep, like one of my favorite mottos is that we use about Cynthia and the foundation is keep the faith and do the work, right? Just focus on the work. And so it was the work of, after Charleston, the library renamed, planning her homecoming service, planning the obituary, planning meeting with the President Obama. She's an AKA, working with the AKAs to form their Beyond the Wall ceremony, which is a going away ceremony, working with Nikki Haley and the South Carolina General Assembly about bringing the flag down. There's a picture of me when she signed the bill. I'm standing right behind her when she signed the bill, right? So I kept busy doing the work, being an advocate for not only her, but for a race of people, right? Because Cynthia would have said, although I died that night and 9 others died with me, 8 others died with me, the attack really was against a race of people, not just me and Reverend Pinckney, Sharonda Singleton, It was anyone who happened to be there and who happened to be black. So it didn't matter who they were, what their backgrounds were. The only thing that mattered that night was that they were there and that they were black. Dr. King said that when he gave the eulogy at the 16th Avenue Baptist Church, where 4 little girls were killed in a bombing, he said, pay little attention to the killer and more attention to the system that produced the killer. And so I use all that time is to try to work in my city council work or my past life as a state senator or congressional candidate, is to try to fix systems so that everyone can feel that they're playing and working from an equal perspective. And as you can tell with this new administration, there's a lot of systems that we need to fix. The political system, where there's an attack on black history, an attack on diversity, equity, and inclusion, an attack on banning books, which Cynthia as a librarian would be like crazy about. No, we can't do this. Focusing on education about what universities can do and what they can't do and what they can teach. The border, we should have immigration policies. I agree with that, but you can't allow 51 white Afrikaners to come to the country, and then you're kicking out all black and brown folks. And so we got to create an environment where healthy tension can exist, where we can kind of speak truth to power, and really begin to stand up for the rights of people. There's no denying that the demographics of our country is changing, right? And we can't make America great by going back 40 years at a time wasn't so great for folks that look like me and you, right? And
absolutely.
so we got to do the work.
What would Cynthia say now? What do you think she would say now to the work that you're doing? And you made that pact with yourself 10 years ago that you were going to keep her name alive. You're doing that. You continue to do the work. What would she say?
She would say, keep the faith, do the work. Keep the faith, do the work. Keep the faith, do the work. And that's why I kind of wrote the book, The Way Forward, which talks about, okay, we know how she died, right? We're not going to focus on that. But what do we have to do as a nation, as a society, to move forward? What type of examples do we need to demonstrate to encourage everybody, black, white, rich, poor, young, old, that we're all in this together, that we're all going to die, that we all bleed red, and that somehow we got to kind of do the work. And that's why the book was so 10 years later for me to kind of put my personal feelings in writing. I'm an author that didn't bring a book to an interview should be penalized, right? I'm grabbing the grandkids, and I grab everything.
You had your hands full.
Their book bags, their raincoats, their 2-year-old's diapers. I got everything I need except the book, right? The book is the way forward. And it honors Cynthia by writing what happened from my perspective day by day. Gives a little history lesson about Charleston, and then it really focuses on, okay, now what do we do? How do we move forward? We got a big town hall meeting in Charleston on June 12th. My good friend Bakari Sellers is going to be down there with me to moderate a panel discussion with some outstanding panelists. The young lady who's the president and CEO of the African American History Museum in Charleston, she'll be with Bakari and I. Talking about the book, and we'll be June 12th in Charleston at Emanuel Church. Tanya Tuppence with the Signs of the Time here in Charlotte will be traveling to Charleston with me on June 12th to help us start that town hall meeting with praise and worship, just honoring Cynthia.
Wow.
That's the faith, keep the faith, and then the work is working with Bakari and others to say, okay, now what? What are we going to do? And so keep the faith, do the work. Keep the faith, do the work. Keep the faith, do the work is what Cynthia would say. And she would probably, Cynthia was a big Jesse Jackson fan. She would say, Jesse said one time that tears and sweat are both salty, but they render different results. Tears will get you sympathy. sweat will get you change. And so we all need to dry our eyes, right? Keep the faith, and then do the work. And the work is hard work. The work right now in 2025 is speaking truth to power. And you can get penalized for that, as you can see what's happening in current times. But Cynthia would say, keep the faith, Malcolm, do the work. Proud of you for writing this book. The biggest honor is when I went down to Charleston for a book signing, and the librarian walked me to the section of the library where the book was kept. And I thought that was cool. And Cynthia probably would say, this guy can't even string a sentence together. Now he's writing books. So she would want us just to kind of do the work, figure it out. Just don't take a knee, fight the power, create healthy tension, and remember that she lived.
You mentioned the Reverend Jesse Jackson, and I remember bumping into Reverend Jesse Jackson at the state capitol, South Carolina State Capitol, when the Confederate flag came down. There's so much going on. So as a young reporter, and I'm walking through the thousands of people, and I'm like, oh, wow, Jesse Jackson.
Well, he actually gave the eulogy at Cynthia's funeral.
Yeah. There was so much that happened during that time.
I have a long relationship with Reverend Jackson. When I ran for state senate in North Carolina, when robocalls was a new thing, he did a robocall for me, endorsing my candidacy. I used to manage a nonprofit organization here in Charlotte, and he came to be my dinner speaker when he was a presidential candidate, and obviously he reached out upon Cynthia's death, and we invited him to share, and he did an amazing job putting in perspective of what happened then, things that he fought for, and what happened 10 years ago at Emanuel.
Wow. Carlene, do you have a question? Carlene's a Charleston native, too.
I am a Charleston.
Yeah. She's a Charleston girl. Charleston girl.
It's more of a question. I just say thank you for keeping her voice alive and keeping this story alive.
Mm-hmm.
There's so many people that move to the Carolinas every day that probably don't realize the impact of what that day was. And so thank you for continuing to share Cynthia's story.
Well, thank you, Charlestonian. And it's and tears are good.
Tears are good. It's been a minute, but just like
tears are
it
good.
takes you right back to it.
And sometimes, I remember one time, two stories. One, my daughters, who were college kids at that time when she died. Cynthia just was at our house for Courtney's graduation from Winston-Salem State.
Okay.
That May.
Mm-hmm.
And my other daughter was away at summer school at UNCG that summer when she died. And they said, Daddy, we've never seen you cry. And they, so it hurts, right? And it means that you're in touch with your humanity, right? That's black, white, rich, poor, it doesn't matter, that you're human, and you kind of understand what happened. And so I kind of get where people said the faith we forgive, right? I kind of get it, but it's so Charleston, right? Charleston is one of those towns. My mom was a domestic worker, my father a truck driver, and that black-white relationship back in, again, I'm 62, right? Back in when I was a high school kid was pretty sharp, right? And so folks would just want to just get along. Let's do what we got to do to get along. Let's not make any waves, right? And so I understood where the forgiveness thing came from. Sometimes you just got to make some waves, right? And ask the tough questions. And so I really appreciate you. I appreciate the tears, because again, one night I was just taking a shower and just started crying, right? Just thinking about her.
Yeah, that release. It's just that release of emotion is kind of like like a volcano. You let that sort of rumble underneath the surface. It's going to erupt at some point. Oh man, and I just want to we talk about the Charleston area. I just want to give a shout out to Somerville, Monk's Corner, North Charleston,
Goose Creek.
Goose Creek.
Creek, right? West Ashley, Johns Island, James Island, right?
It changes so
Wallamala
much.
Island, for those who go to the country.
Oh, yeah. Walterboro, all those.
Walterboro.
It changes so much every time I go back. It changes so much. I don't know if y'all feel like that.
Oh my
Charleston
gosh,
changes
every
a
time
lot.
I go
if
home.
if you go, you know this.
Oh,
if,
yeah.
If you go to Charleston, when the College of Charleston is in session,
Yep.
and you go on King Street
Yep.
on a Friday or Saturday night, it's like you're on Bourbon Street in New Orleans.
Yeah,
That's a
yep,
good
yep.
100%.
It is just, the police have blocked off the street. There's foot traffic from the Battery literally all the way down to, I guess not Meeting Street. Where's the old Piggly Wiggly used to be?
Oh, up near, it's up near, isn't it Meeting?
Yeah. Go further down Meeting Street by where old C.A. Brown High School used to be over there, right? And that's where folks really didn't go over there. They didn't go over there, right? It was pretty rough, but now it is
Yeah.
flowing of
Yeah.
people and traffic, and it's a life that I kind of like. But again, it's that what my mom says, that nice nasty, right? And you start peeling away, and that's why understanding our history is so important in reference to what happened in Charleston, or what happened at the 16th Avenue Baptist Church with the little girls who were bombed by Klansmen, or what happened during slavery, Jim Crow, segregation. We cannot just erase that history as though it didn't happen. We have to learn from it and embrace it as a country, versus trying to pretend that it didn't exist, or pretend that there's no 4-star generals that are African Americans in the Army, or that somehow diversity is not a strength for our country or our state. So we just gotta use Charleston as a living example of history, not just Black history, but American history, and be able to learn from it.
That is Malcolm Graham, a proud brother, grandfather, father,
And
husband.
they have behaved themselves
Oh man,
tremendously.
the best guest.
Carter 4, Ashton 2, and a shameless plug. You can get the book, The Way Forward, Amazon online, Barnes & Noble online, or you can go to the Park Road bookstore in the Park Road Shopping Center and get the book, The Way Forward.
And the town hall is June 12th,
June
right?
12th, 6 o'clock p.m., Emanuel AME Church in Charleston, South Carolina.
Oh man, this was awesome. You are always welcome back here on Live Impact News. Thank you for your time. I appreciate your time.
Thank you for the opportunity. It's been great.
Of course. All right.